Okay, so are you a Californian and you are thinking about making a move here to Utah, but you've heard some different things one way or another and you're not quite sure? Well, today I am going to break down everything you need to know about making a move here to Utah and why some Californians, it's just not the right fit for them and they actually move back. And we're going to hop into it right now. Mariah Koehle here. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel if this is your very first time here. I'm a licensed and active real estate agent here in the Salt Lake City, Utah area, and this channel is literally everything you need to know about eating, working, playing, sleeping, and living in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. If that is of interest to you, consider subscribing down below. Make sure you tap that bell for notifications so you are notified. Subscribing every week I drop a new video. I hear from people like you all the time who are looking to make a move, who are looking to relocate, buy, or sell a property here in Utah, and I absolutely love it. So if you're thinking about making a move in a week, in a month, or even a year from now, feel free to give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email, and my team and I would absolutely love to help you out. So it doesn't feel like that many years ago that my family and I made the move from Southern California here to Utah. And I remember when we made the move, people were like, what? Why did you move from sunny San Diego to sunny Utah? And over the years, we have had friends that have moved here to Utah in and around Salt Lake City, and then some of them have stayed and have absolutely loved it, and others of them went back to California within a year or 2 years and said, we are done with Utah. So today I'm going to break down some of the reasons why Californians, specifically Californians, but this honestly could apply to anybody that is making a move here, but I'm making this specifically for Californians simply because I was born and raised in California. I thought I would live in California my entire life. I really did live in California for most of my life. Born and raised in Northern California, then moved down to Southern California. So I've gotten half of my life was in Northern California, half of it was in Southern California, and then the last 3+ years has been here in Utah. So let's hop right into some of the reasons why people here, that are making a move here, that they're like, oh, you know what? It's just not the right fit for me. Number one, weather. Yes, the weather, which sounds like one of those things when I actually had a lady recently reach out and she was from the Pacific Northwest and she's like, I'm thinking about making a move to Utah. Do I really need like a jacket? And I'm thinking, yeah, you're going to really need a jacket, and you're actually going to probably need more than a jacket for a good chunk of the winter. You're going to probably want a beanie. You're going to probably want mittens. You're going to probably want some of those things simply because it gets cold. So number one reason a lot of people make a move, to Utah, jobs and relocation and all those different things, but people make a move out of Utah because of the weather. We had some friends that moved here a few years ago, and after experiencing the first winter, they were like, this was actually way colder than I thought, and I just can't hack it. Like I want the beaches, I want the, whatever, the snow, I don't want to have to drive in the snow anymore. So for some people, they're like, the weather is a deal breaker. For me personally, I was like, oh, the 4 seasons, this feels so dreamy. I love having a beautiful, like warm summer, and the nights stay so, light, late. And then I love the fall. The fall here is my favorite. Moving right into winter, to be totally truthful, winter is probably 1, maybe 2 months, a little bit too long for me, but it honestly depends on the year that you're here as well. Some winters feel like they, go on for a long time. Other winters you're like, oh, winter's done. That was pretty quick and that was pretty short. I remember the first winter we were here, I was like, man, winter went really fast. I was still running outside every morning. Like winter just did not feel like it was, a huge change. Yes, there was some snow and yes, all of that. But number one, people make a move here, they can't handle the winter, and so they decide to move. Speaking of winter and snow, let's quickly talk about the snow tires. I get this question a lot. Mariah, thinking about making a move, do I need snow tires? Do I need all-wheel drive? For me personally, I just feel more comfortable putting on my snow tires, and then also I have 4-wheel drive. So it's your personal preference. with a carpool mommy driving 4 kids, I want to make sure I've got that extra security. And we like going up to the mountains. So if we're going to take the kids skiing or whatnot, I want to have either a 4-wheel drive. I want to have my snow tires. I just don't want to have to risk, any kind of slip and slide and anything like that. Another reason why people that are moving here from out of state oftentimes do not like it is simply because of the cultural, kind of the culture shock, really. If here in and around Salt Lake City, the Church of Jesus Christ, a Latter-day Saints, has a strong presence. You will see a lot of church buildings. You will see a lot of, temples. You'll see a lot in the way with that kind of culture. That it's a very welcoming, and there's a lot of other religions that are, in and around here as well. But for some people, it's a little bit of a culture shock. Same thing when you're talking to different people and, kind of the church lingo ends up coming up about, hey, what ward are you in? What stake are you in? What, and this is just part of the cultural lingo that kind of goes along with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So some people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But there are so many members of that faith that are very welcoming, very loving, very caring. They'll probably explain it to you. They'll probably, help you unpack your boxes and stuff like that too. So for some people, the cultural shock, they're like, you know what? I'm not really looking for that. Moving right along to the next one. This was actually funny. The nightlife and the environment scene here in Salt Lake. I don't know if you watched the All-Star game a while ago, but Charles Barkley and Shaq were talking. They were here for the All-Star game, and this was a while ago, and they were just talking about the lack of nightlife that was here. Again, for me personally, for my family, for us, we've had tons of things to do here. But that is one of the criticisms that we have heard here in Salt Lake is the lack of nightlife. For us, we have taken our family to different jazz games. We've taken them to different, Disney on Ice and concerts and all that kind of stuff. We have found that there are so many different things to do, but that is a reason why some people, say, hey, you know what? There's nothing to do in Utah. Utah's boring and whatnot. For me personally, I have never experienced that, but that is what some people say. So we know that the number of outdoor activities here in Utah are huge, but I'm telling you, our friends that have moved here, they're like, we just miss the beach. My husband surfs, the kids surf, whatever, right? We just miss the proximity to the ocean. So for some, they're like, yep, you're right. Utah does not have the ocean. We, trade the mountains for the ocean. But for some people, they're like, I just have to be close to the ocean. It's part of, I just want to be, in, near, around it. So for some, they're going to move back simply because there's not the ocean. And last two, the next one, moving right along to the air quality. You hear about this a lot, the inversion that takes place here in the wintertime. And it usually takes place in the winter. Sometimes it'll take place in the summer too, but basically thick smoggy air comes here in and around, gets trapped in this area, and until a storm pushes it out, you'll just see it just has that kind of thick smoggy air. And some people are like, hey, you know what? Cannot deal with the inversion or the air quality, but normally it looks like this. It's beautiful, but that's another draw for some. And finally, just the traffic and the transportation. Some of the areas in and around Salt Lake, the traffic getting in and out, depending on the time of day that you are commuting into Salt Lake, can be there. It does get backed up, and over the years there has been more traffic here. And same thing with public transportation. Public transportation, there are a lot of great options here in Salt Lake City. The farther you go outside of Salt Lake, they're, getting in to Salt Lake, we've got public transportation coming in and out of Salt Lake, but it becomes a little bit more limited. So for some people are like, you know what, I'm really used to being able to take the train in and out. Yes, we have the tracks here, which is, phenomenal getting in and out, but also just know that it might be more limited than some of the other places that you're coming from. So hopefully this gives you an idea of, if you're thinking about making a move here, you are in California, you're right, we don't have the ocean. Sometimes the air quality is poor. traffic can get backed up, and sometimes those cultural differences or that culture shock kind of coming here can be a little bit of, you know, a shock, but many people get used to it. So hopefully this gives you a good idea. If you are thinking about making a move, relocating here to the Salt Lake City, Utah area, my team and I help people like you all the time, and we absolutely love it. So feel free to give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email, and it would be our pleasure to connect with you. Take care and wishing you a wonderful day. Bye.